Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing well. It's time for another edition of the Paranormal Guys. I'm your host, Sportcat Glenn, and I have got some people backstage that I'm excited to introduce to you. First, I need to apologize for the Misfit show on Saturday. We had a power surge here in Atlanta, so when it killed me, the show only lasted for another few minutes, so I apologize for that. We'll make up for it and get you some better content, well, more content. We got some surprises scheduled for that show on Saturday. So, and don't forget, tomorrow is the episode of Big Chat, where we're going to talk about the 2-hour Big Brother show tonight, and then we're going to talk about the live eviction. So we'll be on about a half hour after the eviction tomorrow. So let me know who you think's going to be evicted. But until then, I've got my host backstage, Miss Brenda, Mr. Bobby Dizzle, and Miss Dina. Hello, everybody. How are you?
Hello. Great. How are you?
Good, good. Anything exciting going on with you guys?
Kicking it.
Nope. I'm waiting for my dog to get laryngitis.
My episode with Corey dropped today, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't listened to it yet. So mine, he said the audio was horrible, so he's probably going to trash it. I think he likes you better.
You probably had your audio like it was today. Hello, how are you? How's everyone?
Yeah, I'm whispering. I've got laryngitis.
Oh, you're whispering like the people on the show.
Oh, God, that's annoying.
My dog sounded like that.
Yeah.
You do, too.
Laryngitis.
You have any Asian neighbors, by chance?
No, but I'm thinking about buying a plane ticket to Russia.
Good Lord. All right, well, we've got a guest hidden backstage, Mr. Barry Furey. He used to be my boss, so this is kind of a strange time for me to call him Barry. That's right, and Dina's when we were dispatchers at Knoxville 911. So hopefully he doesn't fire us from our own show. But yeah, he was the director at 911 in Tennessee and also over in North Carolina. He's been a fire chief. His biggest accomplishment, well, at least in my mind, is he's an editor and writer for Firehouse magazine. So he's a good guy. Welcome him to the show. Y'all be nice to him. And here is Mr. Barry Furey. How are you, Barry?
Fine, man. Good evening, everybody.
Glad you are here. So, I mean, I gave a little brief nutshell about you, but the hosts always do, or not the host, but the guests always do it better than the host. So tell us about yourself, and then go into some crazy stuff that we are dying to hear about. And if you got any questions for us, just holler.
Yeah, okay, great. Name is Barry Furey, as Glenn indicated. I have been involved in public safety now in one form or another for 53 years. Started... Go ahead, Dina, laugh. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry. I was laughing at the comments. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Dina, I know I'm old. I don't need your help.
No, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm here to
apologize. I'll try to behave myself. I was not laughing at you.
Don't make any promises behaving yourself. Come on. In any event, been involved in public safety since February of 1970. When I joined the volunteer fire department in New York State. I eventually became chief of that department, but I joined while it was still in high school. I joined 40 years after my father joined that department because he was a firefighter as well, and his father was a New York City police officer. So I came from a public safety family, and it was just almost ordained that I would wind up in public safety in one form or another. Joined the sheriff's office in 1972, was assigned to dispatch, and actually worked my way up to run that agency as well before I left. And since then, I've had stops in Illinois, Alabama, Tennessee, and as you indicated, Glenn, North Carolina. So it's been a real interesting trip. It's been a real quick trip, and certainly got to meet a lot of good folks, two of whom are on the panel here tonight, along the way.
Cool. I didn't know that you come from a second generation fire family.
Yeah, and in fact, I've had uncles and cousins that were firefighters as well. So it's from both my mom and my dad's side.
That's great. Yeah, you probably didn't know it, but I was second. Well, I guess it would be second generation. It was my grandfather and my uncle were firefighters, and I was the odd one that made paramedics. So,
Well, yeah, well, they probably didn't have a chance because again, we talk about lack of progress in the fire service and how much is based on tradition, but yet if you take a look at where the fire service started to where it is today, yeah, there's certainly a lot of tradition left there, probably more than in any other public safety field. But you can't deny that there's been an awful lot of progress from day one. You mentioned Firehouse magazine. I recently just did a piece for their website, firehouse.com, that was titled From Trumpets to Tablets. And it looked at what tools firefighters, not just the incident commander, but almost all firefighters now have available to them on the fire ground. And it's really remarkable when you look at the things that we could do now that, even 20 years ago were unheard of. And I think the unfortunate asterisk to that is that there are so many haves and have-nots in public safety around this country that a lot of agencies don't have access to the technology that many people consider to be just standard fare.
oh yeah, and the equipment has not only gotten lighter and much more advanced. Now some of it's even wireless. I went to a show last year, and everything is going to battery powered or electric. It's crazy. So, the old hearse tool that took two people to carry, and you can carry your own generator with you, your own porta power, and next thing you know. But now we've got, it's electric. One person can operate it, and which is good. So, with the short staff and stuff, it's you got one person doing the job of cutting and the others maintaining the scene, and so it's there's progress there. So
yeah, I mean, batteries have gotten better over time, especially on the fire service. As you said, I stopped in last year to the fire department in New York where I had been chief, and was looking at all the tools that they have now as compared to what we had back when I was chief, and even in that time, there's been a significant change in what's available.
yeah, Bobby, I saw you had a question.
I did.
Oh, well, I thought you did. You looked like you were going to say something, then you stopped. So
No, I was having a coughing fit. So what was happening?
He always has that quizzical.
Well, I'm multitasking over here. I'm
No,
uploading.
you
I'm
do.
uploading some stuff.
I'm trying to stay muted so that my dog doesn't sit here and have a coronary on me.
I was listening. I saw New York City firefighter. I was like, holy crap, this is real.
Yeah. New York State, not New York City. I'll say that to you. As I tell people, I lived either 2 hours or 20 minutes from New York City, depending upon the time of day. If you wanted to try to go in during rush hour, it was a 2-hour drive. If you decided you were going to go in on a Sunday morning, 20 minutes and you're there, but close enough.
Mm-hmm. Close to Cohocton.
But there's been significant change. When I started in public safety, 911 was 2 years old. Started in 68.
wow.
Okay, so what we think of as 911 today is a far cry from what we had when I started. In fact, I didn't get to use 911 until the late 80s, which was almost 20 years after I was in this profession. And that's when I had moved to Champaign, Illinois, and was director of the center there, and established 911 in that county. And I really made that a priority because among our customers were the main campus of the University of Illinois, and that is 50,000 staff and students who are coming from all over the country, all over the globe, and a lot of these people coming from different states in America. Those students had access to 911. They knew it was the emergency number, and it was really, to me, a safety issue that we're welcoming all these people in and didn't offer what I saw as a basic service. But, I mean, originally 911 was nothing more than a 3-digit number to provide a free call, and it has morphed into so many different things now over the years. The last stats I read is that there are 240 million 911 calls made in America in a given year. I've seen that same stat now for the past few years, so I think it's probably higher than that. And I know some days it feels like all 240 million of those calls are coming in at the same time. What we've gone from, and I spoke at the AFCO conference in Tennessee about, the title of the presentation was Get Over It. And I looked at what things we're doing that we need to get over the way we used to do things. It doesn't work anymore. We used to measure things in busy hours. Oh, how many calls did you take in that hour? And that doesn't much matter anymore. It's boiled down to busy minutes, and so many people have cell phones. You could take a look at your hourly call rate and say, that's not bad. Well, if 90% of the calls that you had in that hour came in a 5-minute period, that is bad, and that's what we've kind of got to get away from. I mean, we had a recent national survey said that found that 82% of 911 centers are short-staffed. 82%. Wow. And I think it's worse than that, Glenn. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know anybody who's at full staff. I don't know anybody who's close to being at full staff. And the other thing that I take a look at that 82% about is, okay, the other 18%, hey, wait a minute, maybe they were too busy to answer the survey. I don't know,
They didn't get the memo.
Yeah, they probably didn't get the memo. That's right. But 82% are short-staffed, and there's a lot of things you can fall into a trap at 911 when you're talking about this. First of all, you can say, "Oh, we're full staffed." Well, you may have the number of people you're authorized to have, but the first thing is that number that you're authorized to have enough? And that's a big thing. And part of what happens is, in our industry, we get caught up in what they call salary and compensation studies. And so if you go to the city or the county or whoever you work for and say, hey, wait a minute, we really need to take a look at what's going on in the center. Somebody in HR gets on the phone and they call 3 or 4 or 5 what they consider to be similar sized 911 centers in the local geographic region. They may reach out to a surrounding state or something like that. But there's a couple of bad problems there. Number one, they're only reaching out to 911 centers. And they are not our only competition when it comes to employment. They're not. And the second thing is, they don't take a look if there's any science behind the answers that they're getting. There are a ton of studies out there by organizations such as APCO and NINA, which are professional organizations for the telecommunications industry, and there are formulas out there that can calculate how many people you need to reach a certain goal, how many calls you can handle, etc. But typically the answers that they get back from these additional agencies that they've contacted is recycling of the same information they gave these agencies years ago when they called. So Center A calls Center B. Oh, how many people you got? Oh, how's your fam? Okay, fine. All right. Based
Yep.
upon what? And usually, like I said, 5 years ago, they called you and you gave them the information they're giving back to you now. So we don't hang our hat on science. We don't. It's kind of, and that's part of the problem why we're at where we're at right now.
Well, it's a national crisis. I mean,
It has been for a long time. Excuse me, please. I'm sorry.
no. I was just going to say,
No, Gina, please.
I don't think we're ready for another 9/11 event as a country. I really don't.
I think there's a lot of reasons on that one, Glenn. Too,
I've got a
but,
random question that takes it way back to the start of this conversation.
Sure.
But
Go ahead.
what did we dial before 911?
We dial typically 10-digit numbers, or of course, back in those days they were 7-digit numbers.
0 and ask for the operator.
Oh yeah, there you go too,
Yeah.
It's in
Brenda.
Brenda's
That's right.
time.
0 and
Yeah,
ask for
that's
the
true.
for the operator.
You ask for the
I grew up
Police
on a party
department.
line, so I don't know what would have happened.
Well, that's
Typically, you would have the operator here in our area. Anyway.
yeah. So it was like I said, either operator, Brenda, that's correct, or like a local 7-digit number. And I can remember when I was a kid, if you had a fire, there was a 4-digit number in town, because when I was a kid in our exchange, if you called in the exchange, you didn't have to dial but the 4 numbers, and it went to a phone. Several phones actually that was spread around town in people's houses or at the gas station, whatever, and that's just for the fire. And somebody would take the information, whoever picked it up, and they had a little switch on the side of the phone, and they threw that switch and it set the fire siren off on the firehouse. And people have to go down there and find out where the fire was. Now the police, again, like you're saying, 0 or some other number, but yeah, and that's one of the reasons back in 1968 that they started 911, because there was just so much confusion and people were forgetting about yeah, and
Sarah.
Todd said, know the operator's
Sarah?
name like on Andy
Sarah,
Griffin.
give me the
Yeah,
courthouse.
yeah.
That's
And
right,
that
it
was
is.
Sir, give me Andy.
Sarah,
and
give me the shop.
yeah, and I will tell you, I think there are still maybe 1 or 2 small areas in the United States that still don't have 911. I saw just the other day somebody published they finally got 911 in their town. I mean, the bulk of the area and population are covered, but I can remember back in the late 1980s, I was doing some work with the fire department who basically had the one firefighter on duty, and the fire calls came into the firehouse. He took the call and drove the first truck and wrote it down on the board. Now, God forbid somebody had a second fire, or wanted to call back to say, oh, by the way, somebody's trapped in this house that's on fire, and nobody was going to answer the phone because everybody went to the fire.
Yeah.
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 Well,
You know,
mean,
I have
go ahead,
I have a friend who goes to like antique shopping.
Yeah.
And there was something that came up. Speaking of old days and phones, I walked into his office, and you know those old switchboard panels that they would plug in?
Yeah.
And I walked up and I said, holy crap, it's a switchboard for an operator. And he said, you're not that old. How do you know what that is? And I said, the Andy Griffin Show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 So I used to work for the major network hub on Redstone Arsenal here. And they have, in the main building, they have a little museum with all that stuff in it. All those switchboards and things. It's pretty neat.
Bobby, I know you're at Redstone. One of my stops, I was deputy chief of Harvest Fire Department when I was in Alabama.
Harvest?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did they get blown away by a tornado? That's tornado.
they
Alley.
did. They did after I left. The Piggly Wiggly is gone. I know that much.
Harvest
I
gets
see-
hit every damn time.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My mom was still living there when we got hit the one time. I had moved from there to Tennessee, and my mom was still there when it got hit by a tornado. So
I wouldn't
thank God.
live north of town for nothing.
Yeah, well, that's where we were. Okay. Todd asked, why did they pick the specific numbers 911? And the answer to that is because there's a lot of theories. One is, well, just back in the day of rotary dial phones, well, you had to make sure you dialed the 9, so and then 11 was quick. The second part of that, and probably the only part that I can verify, is that it was an area, no other phone number exchange or area code was 911. So
right.
they said, okay, we are going to create a series of what we call N11 numbers. And so 411 was information, 511 is, 811 don't dig, 511 traffic, 311 general information or non-emergency police, 211 social services. So yeah, it morphed into that. But at the time when they needed it, there was nothing in the phone system that used 911.
And now you can text and send pictures to almost any 911 agency. So,
well, Glenn. That's another good point in terms of what's happening. We were in Raleigh a pretty early adopter on text to 911, and I'm laughing at the comment. Yeah,
yeah.
That's what I was laughing at earlier.
No, man, you
We
stick one of
even
those
see
in
the chat on the side. He said you all look good except for Bobby.
Yeah, why is he not on here?
you stick one of those rotary phones in a room with some teenagers now, and they're going to be like, "What is that?
Todd on
He's
here?
not on here.
How do you use it?"
Todd was invited,
I used to
but
have a rotary phone.
he said he was ill. So.
Yeah.
But no, in terms of what's going on, we didn't get a lot of text, and they still don't, from what I'm told. And I was very surprised because we're in a pretty high tech, higher education environment, and I'm thinking like, okay, these are the target people who are going to want to text. And when it comes to an emergency, we found out that they don't. And I think part of my thought there is that when people are in trouble, they still want to have as much personal contact as they can. They like to hear a voice on the other end of the phone. And in those situations, it's also a lot easier because texting can be cumbersome when a telecommunicator can't stop somebody mid-sentence to say, wait, that's really, I need to know this, not that, tell me this right now. You can't do it, so it's kind of cumbersome. The sending of photos with 911 and the video part is not 100% there yet. I mean, a lot of that is still coming. The sending of pictures and photos, still photos, has already been exploited. In Missouri, a teenage girl who was home from school sick sent a text to 911 with a picture of a baboon or some other animal on it, and said that it was loose in her backyard, which initiated several calls to local zoos, veterinary hospitals, locked down a couple of schools. Bottom line is she found a picture in National Geographic, clipped it, attached it to her text, and sent it out. So, there are people who have already figured out how to use it as a prank before it's really in the mainstream. The issue of videos, live videos, has become scary for some telecommunicators because they're like, man, I don't really want to see that. And, and I understand that, but the option on that I bring up for people to think about is what happens when that interaction becomes two-way. everybody looks at video to 911 as just being one way. Hey, here's what's going on at the accident scene. Here's the fire. Here's the fight. Whatever.
Is it captured? Is the video captured?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's and that's another good kind of question, Dina, is that one of the things that the industry is struggling with is, number one, many of the state laws that were written with regard to capture, retention, and release of information don't specifically mention a lot of the new technology that's happening there. Most of these 911 laws were written back in the early days of 911. And in fact, I know a lot of them had to be changed specifically just for cell phone calls, because the definition of state laws were like, oh, it's this thing that's wired on the wall. Well, no, it's
Right.
not. So now, where is this going to go? What happens? What happens if we do go to two-way video? Because hey, if I'm showing you something, or I'm just showing you video of me, I'd kind of like to see video of you. Hey, who am I talking to here? And that in itself just raises all kinds of issues, and those are the things that we've kind of got to be looking at the technology side. But still in all, the personnel side, the people side of this is, I say to people, you can't have next gen 911 without next gen telecommunicators.
Right.
And
Yes.
and at this rate, it is just it's like exceedingly difficult, and the money is the big thing. I'm sorry, it really is. Somebody says, oh, well, money can't buy happiness. Well, tell that to somebody who's living from check to check. I mean, I saw.
Heard that somewhere before.
I saw something today. I was reading a little bit before I came online. The state of Arkansas, by average, is the lowest pay for telecommunicators, and it's like 29,000 and change
Oh God.
for being in charge of somebody's life, for being
Yeah.
in charge of the safety of an entire community, being in charge of the safety of every first responder that's out there. Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. Well, I also saw some stats that there are places in North Carolina that pay $8 and change for a telecommunicator.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you wonder why 82% of the 911 centers are short-staffed.
Yeah.
You can go to Burger King, and you're not
Make
having.
half that.
Yeah, and my wife, who is definitely not public safety, said to me, with all the people you've got looking over your shoulders, and the stuff that comes out on TV news or something like that, she's like, I understand why you're not getting people to work there. She's like, why would you want to put yourself out there for that amount of change?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's absolute. And I was going to say, when you're talking about video, a lot of cities and towns and counties now have the intersections and cameras up all through town. Well, they're tasking the 911 centers or the police departments to watch them. And one of my friends, he's a major with a local police department. He can't get people to do that after they had an incident where a person was involved in a hit and run at a crosswalk early in one morning. The employee couldn't take it. I mean, they witnessed it firsthand on a screen, wall size. And the employee walked out. And then afterwards, all the other people were like, well, wait a minute, I didn't sign up for that. And so you're absolutely right. And I mean, it's a different generation as far as that's a whole different conversation about people. But, there's only so much you can see. You may be different than me, or Bobby may be different than all of us. But, so that's something that they got to take into consideration. And one thing a lot of people don't think about, and I know you know this, Barry, but when you're hearing this in your ear as a real emergency going on, you are tactily there. I mean, part of your I don't know, your emotion, your whatever is there, and you feel it with them. So, you know, a lot of times the 911 dispatchers get forgot about because they have to deal with these things.
Yeah. A few years ago, Northern Illinois University ran a study, and they found that telecommunicators were subject to the same stress as first responders on the scene, just for what you're talking about there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the other thing, the other thing is, I think that things are getting better in that regard, Glenn. They really are. There are several states. I believe it was Arizona just approved telecommunicators being eligible for stress leave, that they could actually take time off for that, like workers comp. So there are a lot of things that are helping, but there's still a long way to go, and it's a different game than when I started. And I talk about, you talk about Andy Griffith. I start talking about when I started, it was just like the old Jack Webb show, Dragnet. Just the facts, man. Where are you? What's wrong? Who's doing it? But but I go out and I speak, and so I've said, oh, gee, wait a minute, I got to tell these people I'm talking to what Dragnet is. And they're like, well, there was a TV show called Dragnet before there was the Dragnet movie with Dan Aykroyd in it.
Yep.
And from the class comes Mr. Furey. Who's Dan Aykroyd? And I'm like, oh my God! And it dawned on me. I should have said Tom Hanks. All right, that might have proved it. But I'm like, my God! Not only is my primary reference no longer good, but my secondary reference updated. No, that's not good either.
Look at some young actors.
Yeah. So I gotta. I gotta change my references, but people still do remember Andy Griffith because it's I think it's in such a cycle on reruns on some of the cable channels that one still works.
I watched the pilot today.
Did you really?
Yeah, on the Danny Thomas show.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I mean that's so that's one of the things I'm finding is that I've got to double check my references to make sure at least somebody in the class knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dina.
I wanted to ask, do you think the recording on the 911 lines, the incoming lines, helps?
Oh, Dina, yeah, I really, really do, and I want to tell you something. When I first started, it wasn't recorded. Okay.
No, I mean excuse me, I'm sorry. Like when someone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, everybody's busy. Please hang on the.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Dina, I think it does, but I think it only does so much. There are people who will call and will hear that and will immediately hang up and dial again because they're PO'd that they didn't get a human to talk to.
Exactly.
It's like calling your bank or something else. Your call is important to us. Please stay on the line. And so it helps the people who want to listen. There are a lot of agencies. Yeah, I mean there are some agencies now who are starting to look into using artificial intelligence to enhance that inbound messaging, where you can potentially start processing a call before a telecommunicator has the chance to pick up. And I think there's really, really some promise in that. AI has come so far that if people really stay on the phone, and again, there's going to be these people who, once they don't hear a human voice, are going to hang up no matter what you tell them and wind up at the end of the loop and then do it again and again and then they're going to call the local TV station. And I called 911, and it took me 15 minutes to get a person. Well, hell yeah, because you kept hanging up when we were told to hang on.
Right.
But no, I think there are some things we can do, but you're always going to have a certain percentage of the population that, either through they're truly panicked or they're just not listening. You're gonna run into that.
Yeah, I think I can see an advantage to it in one way, and then another way, it's like you said, it's like they're going to hang up either way. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we were trying to do is to keep people from hanging up. I mean,
Yeah.
that was really it. Just stay where you are, and
Right.
we'll get you. And I would say it's probably mixed success in that
yeah,
in that area.
yeah. I just wanted to ask about that and see how it fared. And also, one other thing I want to talk to you about that I was excited about, I saw in your book, was the 311. No, was it 311? Not 311. The oh shoot, what is that new app that they can find you? Oh, what 3 words?
Oh, what 3 words? Okay, great.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that concept.
Addressing, getting
Yeah.
a good address, getting somebody to a point where they are who needing help is been one of the biggest challenges in public safety. 911 involved or not involved, you've
Yeah.
got to get somebody there to help the people, and that where may be the busiest intersection downtown, or it may be out in the woods 15 miles away from nowhere. And so over the time we've dealt with what I would call cardinal addresses, and that's I'm at 123 South Broadway.
Right.
Okay, great, got it. Then we've morphed into latitude and longitude, XY coordinates, and that's due to cell phones. And so there is a new way of finding people that was actually started over in Europe called What 3 Words, and every square meter of the planet has been addressed with a 3-word phrase. Now, some of the phrases may absolutely make no sense, but that's
Right.
because they are unique and different. It could be Tuesday fish sandwich. I
Yeah.
don't know, but that Tuesday fish sandwich points to a square meter plot somewhere on the globe, and it's probably the most accurate way you can find somebody, and it's growing favor. Will it ever be the only way we find people? Probably not. At least certainly not in my lifetime. But it's a great promise where you're dealing with the fact that, especially now that people have cell phones, satellite phones, different ways of communicating. You've got to find them in places that are not traditionally addressed.
Yeah, I looked into it. I knew about it before I read your book, but it's just an awesome tool. I mean, they could be out in the middle of the mountains and use that app, even if they don't have phone service. Somehow they can call that. Well, they can call 911 if they have, like, if they don't have. They have to have service, of course.
Yeah,
but,
okay, but it's not traditional telephone. It could be any
Exactly.
number of ways of
Right.
communicating.
and they can do the What 3 app or What 3
Yeah,
words.
What
thing
3
and-
Words app? Yeah.
Yeah, and find them within. I think it's the 10 meter. Is it 10
I think it's
meter?
even closer. I think it's even closer than that. But yeah, it's really
maybe,
it's really
but it's
close.
very pinpointed.
Yes.
I just think that's awesome.
Yeah. So there are good things happening
Yeah.
out there.
Okay, I'm
It's
done.
also a good name for a podcast, the Tuesday Fish Sandwich Podcast.
Yeah, it is.
Right, I wrote that down.
You wrote that down. I knew you would.
Tuesday
Welcome back
fish
to the Tuesday
tacos.
Fish Sandwich.
Yeah.
What happened to fish tacos?
That's probably
This is
somewhere
This
else.
is a family show, Brenda.
Oh, hey, they make those. What are you talking about, crazy?
We're trying to be serious.
Okay.
Wendell.
That was my
It's
question.
hard to be serious with this cast.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
No, Bobby, Brenda, I know I could hog this all night. I know, and you guys got questions, so.
No, I mean I'm listening along. This is one of those kind of things where you don't know what you don't know, and so you hear somebody say it, you're like, "What? That's a thing?"
Mm-hmm.
Like I just called 911 for the first time ever. What, 2 months ago? Remember when I told y'all about that? I didn't know how it worked. I knew how it worked. I didn't know how. I was all calm and polite for some reason. I was overly polite. I'm like, why am I so polite? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We love people like that, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
We think
You
you're
probably.
weird, but like, what's wrong with this guy?
It's an emergency, and he's being polite. What's going on?
Well, I turn into this like super cool, like out of my body when there's like an emergency. Like I don't freak out.
That's
Some
good.
people do that.
I go into slow motion. I go into slow
That's
motion. I don't
awesome.
understand
That's
it.
really good.
Yeah.
If you can
And
do
it's
that.
and it's strange. You can't, like Dean, like you're saying, you can't predict how somebody's going to act when you pick up the phone. And I can remember, boy, back when I was still early in my career, when I was answering calls, working the desk, and 3:00 in the morning, I get this call from this kid who. It's like he's reading something out of a book. He's like, "Well, yeah, Mister, the house down the street's on fire, and oh man, there are flames coming out of all the windows, and oh man." And I'm thinking, where are your parents, you little?
Yeah.
It's a family show, so I'm not going to add the rest of that thought in there. But like, where are your
shit.
parents? So, okay, I get the information, get ready to dispatch. The fire phone rings again. I pick it up. And it's this full-grown woman on the phone screaming her head off about the same thing. And I'm like, man, you just can't tell. Here's this kid giving me right down the line what
the kid
I
on the
need
phone.
to tell
Man,
the
put the
fire
kid on the
department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
And
out
this,
on the phone, please.
yeah, and this, but I mean, you would really be surprised how many times the real emergencies are called in by some very calm people. And often not on 911, on one of the non-emergency lines. You know, gee, I really don't want to bother you, but you know, I just cut my leg off with the wood chipper. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, we'll get somebody out there. Don't worry about that. And then of course you get holiday-specific calls where somebody has set the dinner on fire and ask you to send a small fire truck with no lights or sirens or something like that because they're afraid of causing attention to themselves in the neighborhood. So it's a crapshoot. It really is.
I'm just picturing Carl from Sling Blade. I reckon you ought to send a hearse.
Yeah.
I done killed Noel Hargrave.
But I mean, there are. But we talked about the stress earlier, and there are some horrific calls the telecommunicators have to deal with. I mean, I know many who have. Well, I know myself earlier in my career. I was the last person a woman talked to who got killed in a house fire. I mean, I know people who have been on the phone with people when they killed themselves, when they shot themselves. I've heard people call in and confess that they just murdered their entire family.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, you know, and hey, we're this close to 9/11. The telecommunicators in New York City, who were hearing the last words of those people in the towers, as well as not being able to get a response from all those fire units after the collapse. I mean, that's something that lives with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Why would you call 911 if you're about to kill yourself?
Because they don't want their families to find them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like,
most of the time.
Yeah. And sometimes, I mean, you can put any kind of label on it, I guess. Some people don't want to be alone. Some people want to make a statement. Dina, you're right. They don't want their families to have to clean up the mess. In some cases, people are maybe trying to get somebody to talk them out of it. I mean, you know, there are all kinds of options.
Yeah, that's true too.
You know,
And sometimes, I'm sorry.
go, Dina.
Sometimes they're just they don't really want to do it. They're just reaching out for some help.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Yeah,
they
that's what I was
actually
thinking.
will do it on the phone with you.
Yeah. It's a scary world. Just so everybody knows, Brenda was having a thunderstorm before. And so I saw the power flickering behind her a time or two, and she messaged that
She
her
didn't make
power
it.
went out. So, well, it got me last week, so it's her turn now. So, but well, let's get on something a little more cheerful. Let's talk about some paranormal stuff. So,
Well, I had,
oh, go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
well, this is not related to anything we're talking, but like Brenda's thunderstorm. Remember when it got to like 1 degrees over the winter last year? We had that giant cool snap. Like it knocked my internet out. The cold knocked my internet out. How does that even happen?
Sometimes the rain.
It was
knock
too
ours
cold
out.
for internet.
Crazy.
It
You didn't
froze
put
the internet.
Well, you didn't put the
Somebody should have let it drip.
you didn't put the winter fluid in it.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
fuck? I was like,
You got to winterize it.
Too cold for internet in Alabama right now.
Got to change. Hey, when I lived in Harvest, my water froze. I remember that one year.
Wasn't
So
I on this
it-
show?
What's that?
Was it this show that it happened on?
That the internet froze?
Yeah, I was on somebody's show. Like I think it. When did we start doing this over the winter?
No, no, we started what in like
Those lines up.
June, July.
Oh,
so-
I know what it was. I was helping a kid start a gaming channel, and we had like people that were
Oh.
playing Torok with the dinosaurs. My internet started. I'm like, guys, I gotta go. My internet's cold. It's. I gotta go crank. I gotta go heat it up like a well pump or something. I guess.
Well,
Anyway,
you know,
paranormal.
that brings well, no, that was gonna say that brings up something a lot of people don't realize. A lot of the backbones of the cell phones now are you got a signal that's in the air, but it goes right straight to digital voiceover. So
Yeah. What it was doing was freezing the little hubs, and so all the little redundancies were failing over, and it was just killing the bandwidth. And so I was trying to do this, and I had like a trickle of internet when I used to have a fire hose, and because I knew what it was doing. I could tell by the way it was. The degradation was bad. And I'm like, man, it is like. I looked at my clock and it's like 0 degrees outside.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
too cold for the internet in Alabama right now.
That's terrible.
But you mentioned, and Glenn, you're talking about how things get transported and connectivity. And one of the big problems out there that a lot of people don't look at is that it is very easy for the cell phone system to get overloaded, especially in emergencies. And the other thing is that there are still a significant amount of cell phone sites out there that run on battery backup and not generator. Not every cell phone tower has a generator. So after a day or so, you may be losing your cell phone service, or at least getting degradation. And if you look back into, and I'm not sure whether it was Wilma or Katrina, one of the Gulf Coast hurricanes, there was a significant loss of cell phone service for days after that. So just another cheery thing to think about in case of emergency.
absolutely.
When did you live in Harvest?
90 to 95, I believe, around that, the early 90s.
Well, in 2011, the F5 tornadoes came through, like 8 of them. It knocked out our power for 5 days, and it hit Harvest pretty much the hardest. But our cell service started doing that too. There was no power from Browns Ferry.
Yeah,
We had to go to Shelbyville.
Yeah, I think it was either 94 or 95. There were tornadoes. It's like right after I had left, there was one that came through and hit a subdivision up off of 53.
Were you there during the blizzard in '93?
Yes, I was. That's,
That was a
that's
good
when
one.
my water froze to
It
my
didn't knock
house.
the cell service out though.
No.
No, cell service stayed good that time.
Well, I had changed the. I put some heat tape on the internet lines in my house. I kept
Yeah,
that
the
from happening.
93, the 1993 internet. I've never seen snow like that. I've never seen it like that since.
That was crazy. It thundered and lightning during that storm.
Yeah.
I've never seen that with snow.
I was watching the Ninja Turtles on Channel 12 out of Chattanooga, and it started fading. It started fading into black and white that Saturday morning and started getting fuzzy and the power went
Oh
out.
my
And
gosh.
I was like, well, shit, I was right in the middle of the Ninja Turtle.
Oh, well, now you know when you got a real emergency, the turtles turn black and white.
On
Yeah.
the antenna from Chattanooga.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. So yeah, Barry, tell us about, because I know you don't got all night, but I want to hear some of your paranormal stories and some craziness.
Oh, it's don't know whether it's paranormal, don't know whether it's God's will, don't know whether it's the hand of fate or whether it's just the way the dice get rolled. But there's been a couple times in my life when things have happened where I'm kind of like, well, it took a little bit of something to have this occur. And one thing is it's probably not lightening the mood, but I'll talk about a story when back when I was fire chief in New York. My full-time job was running the dispatch center, and I had left for work a little late one morning, which was kind of unusual because I always used to try to get there early to make sure it was there, shift change, to see the folks. And I started going the way I normally go, and just traffic was stopped. So I'm like, okay, let me turn around and go the other way. Well, my backup route was also stopped for some other reason, so okay, let's take a third alternative. Well, I take the third alternative, and then I get behind a dump truck who's doing about 10 miles an hour along a road which is double yellow lines for the next 3 or 4 miles. I know this. So I'm like, well, this ain't going to happen. So I turned off on a road that I've never taken before. It can get me where I want to go, but not certainly directly there. It is a roundabout. And when I'm going, I hear a department tone out for a structure fire with people trapped. And I'm like, it's a little before 8 o'clock in the morning. The fact that people are trapped doesn't seem too logical for me at that time. It could be at any time, but I'm used to people trapped 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hey, you're up, hey, trapped. So, and it's November 1st, so I'm thinking, it's probably a damn false alarm call. Some kid didn't get enough Halloween. Decided this is a prank. So I'm heading. Well, just by whatever reason, where I'm heading is right towards. By taking all these back roads, I'm heading towards the location of this fire. So, bottom line, a couple of the trucks get there. They confirm, hey, yeah, it is a fire. There's a kid still in the house. And, the bottom line is I wind up giving mouth to mouth to the kid, get him going again. But unfortunately, he wound up passing later in the hospital. They said that because he was at least resuscitated, they were able to save some of his organs and transplant them, which was kind of a good thing. But I tell you, if I meant more to the people who got the organs than it did to me. I mean, I went to work that morning thinking the kid was going to make it, and he didn't, and that was kind of a shock. But, I just felt that it took about 3 or 4 different happenstances of things that, hey, I'm never on that road, Glenn, never, you know, and here it is, heading right towards where this fire is. So, you know, I feel there was some reason I was there. I don't know what it is.
Sure.
You never know. Could have been those organs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Not that.
You know, the other is a little lighter, and that is when I was living in Illinois. I was headed to an AFCO conference in Boston, and my parents were still living in New York. So I asked the city manager, "Hey, is it okay if I fly into New York and just drive up to Boston so I can see my folks and take a couple of days vacation?" He's like, "Yeah, you know, the cost was about the same." I said, "Look, I'll pay any additional miles on the rent-a-car. I don't have a problem with that." I said, "Yeah, go ahead." So, lady friend of mine who I was seeing at the time was originally from the Massachusetts area, and her mom had died, and she and her brothers got separated, and she got sent out to Illinois to live with an aunt. And it's really a long, complicated story, but she had never seen her mother's grave, and just had a basic. She had an idea. Oh, she's in this cemetery. I think this is where she's at. And so I said, "All right, look, I tell you, while I'm out there, I'll go and take a look and see what I can do." So in driving up the interstate from New York to Boston, the town where she went to church and grew up was off the interstate, and there were 5 different exits for that particular town. And I'm pretty logical most times in what I do. So, you know, I should have either gotten off the first exit to make sure I didn't miss looking for this place, because again, this is way before GPS, and I've just got a name of a cemetery and her mother's name. That's it. So, or I would have gone to the second exit thinking that, okay, this is kind of the middle of town, you know, I should be, you know, close or whatever. Or I would have got off the last exit thinking that, hey, if I didn't see it up until this point, well, okay, I'll go and double back. So I get off the second exit. I have no idea why. I get off the second exit, and she was Catholic, and you couldn't see anything in the town from where the interstate was because it was above things. I get off and drive down right at the end of the ramp. There's a Catholic church, and the priest is out in the yard. I'm like, okay, let me ask him where this cemetery is. You know, maybe he knows something. I talk to him. He gives me directions, and she says, "No, we don't have any cemetery by that name in this town. There is one similar name 2 towns over. If you go this way, you'll get there." Okay. So I follow his directions, and I go past this cemetery. Not the name that she gave me, not the one that he pointed me to. And something just told me, stop. This is where she is. And bottom line is, she was. If I had not gotten off an exit that I logically shouldn't have got off, if I didn't run into the priest in the yard of a Catholic church at the end of that ramp that I couldn't see from the interstate, if I didn't follow his directions, I would have never gone past the, quote, wrong cemetery, which turned out to be the right one. So I'm like, something went on there. I don't know what, but something went on there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sorry that there's no Bigfoot or anything like that involved in
Bigfoot
in this. But you know, those are the 2
But
things.
you do believe in Bigfoot, I hope so.
Well, it depends. catch me on the right day. But no, I mean, you know, there are things that we just can't explain and don't understand. And to me, those are 2. You know, I'm sure there are more, but those are the 2 that stood out to me, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things are crazy when they happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Seems
and
like
Bobby is one to do with angel numbers, so he's always seeing the certain numbers and things. And after talking to him about it, I was starting kind of noticing things myself, which is really odd. But
Yeah, yeah. If Bobby, if you're seeing any really good patterns, like right before the lottery drawing, if you can give them to me, I'll try to plug in those right numbers.
I'm just
Sadly, I don't get that kind of luck. I get kind of just like bumped in a direction like a pinball.
I'm just gonna call Bill Gates and tell him I need the next lottery numbers. Apparently, he predicts everything. So, yeah.
What about the Mexican alien bodies?
I have been seeing. I haven't had a chance to read that. I've just seen the headlines. And I've also got to get right with my terms. I still call things UFOs, and they're what now?
Me too. I can't I can't call them whatever the other thing is.
UAB blazers.
UAB. Yeah.
What? When did that? What? Wait.
UAP.
yes, UAP.
Uniform Alpha Papa.
Yeah.
Unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Yeah. They changed it.
When?
2021. 2021.
Every now and then they need to write a new dictionary, I guess. So.
Yeah.
There was
So.
stigma with UFO was why they did it. UFO seemed crazy and woo-woo, so they had to name it something that sounded official.
That's from the Air Force.
UAP.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, but if one really big goes over someplace, a whole shitload of people are out there, and they're looking up, pointing. They're not going to think of calling it whatever it is now. They're going to be like, "Look, UFO!"
It was for their new reporting and disclosure. They had to rebrand it a little bit.
It's a space saucer.
Shoot it! Shoot it!
It's the mothership. Please
Yeah.
take me with you.
I'm
Get
sure you
me
probably
outta
had
here.
quite a few of those UFO calls or UAP calls come into your centers.
Yeah, in fact, and Dina, I think this one is from Knoxville, because some of them kind of run together to me. But
Yeah.
there was one of our frequent flyers, which is an industry term for somebody who calls 911
All the time.
all the time. Yeah, that's the right word.
Yeah.
Who called in saying that there was a Martian on her front porch. And it was in the county, Dean, and I don't remember exactly where, but we sent a deputy out there. And even though she called in all the time, you got to cover yourself and send somebody out. Said there was a Martian there. And the deputy got out. There was a teenager on her front porch who had been huffing fluorescent green paint.
Oh my goodness, I remember that.
It had the bag on his face, and so it got a day glow ring. So for her, there was a little green man on her porch. That made perfect sense to her.
You're right.
Well,
Oh my
I
goodness.
see that point. I do.
I forgot about that.
It's a little green meth head on the front porch.
Yeah.
Good grief. We've had some crazy stuff come through there, I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah.
Oh, trust me, I've worked in 3 states now. It wasn't just Knoxville.
I could have, yeah.
Hold on.
You're right. That's true too. Man.
On Friday the 13th, I was on. They called them a TAC unit, and it was basically a ALS first response. You'll get the paramedics there. I had a crew of 4, and they call in a working cardiac arrest, which means that somebody at the Caltech Center is doing CPR, and it's at a cemetery. And they give the location, and it's in our immediate, and we're like, there's no cemetery there. And so we're like, okay, you've got to have the wrong location. The captain is now, he's been the captain of that area for 20 years. You know, he knows that area. He says, there's no cemetery here. Turns out where they built La Vista Road, and I can't remember the name of the other road, Chambly Tucker maybe. There's a little pie-shaped median. Well, that pie-shaped median goes back into the woods. Back in the woods and it took 911 a while for them to get us to them, and it was back in there. It was an old cemetery, and the guy had inherited this family plot or whatever, and he had taken that day and went to show his family, this is where I want to be buried, and fell over on it.
Oh
dead.
my goodness.
Dead as a mackerel. He had the big one.
Wow.
Save them all steps. Cut out the whole
Yeah.
middleman.
Yeah. So,
Pull him in the grave right there.
And yeah, there are funny ones like that. Again, I think I'm trying to remember where this one was
Well, Glenn,
at.
go
Yeah,
get the
this one I
shovel.
think was. I think this was out of Knoxville too. Had a little kid calling up, playing on the phone, and telecommunicator asked them to go and get an adult to come back on the phone to talk to, and the phone goes dead for a while. And the kid comes back on the phone talking in a deep voice, and the telecommunicator asks him, "Who's this?" And the kid says, "This is an adult."
Yeah. This is an adult.
that's funny.
Yep.
Yes, Wendell. All the time.
Yeah,
And
ghosts.
red horses.
God, don't
Yeah.
get me
I
going.
have Wendell. I have twice in my life.
Yeah.
And the second time
No. I was starting to think it happened so much. I was starting to think that my name was Hey You. So, you know.
what was this? Let's see. Let me think a minute. I was going to say something and I forgot what it was.
Oh, the second time.
Oh,
She'll
shut
get
up.
it eventually.
Shut up.
She said her husband
Take-
heard it the second time.
No, that was when Wendell was asking if I've ever heard, if any of us have ever heard
Call
our
your
names
name.
called and nobody was there. Yeah, when I lived in Florida, we were living in my mother-in-law's trailer, and I was there by myself. And actually, it was 3 times. I was standing in the hallway, and I heard this whisper, my name whispered in my ear, and I was the only one in the house. And I was like, "What the
creepy.
hell?" And then I went inside the living room. I was doing whatever I was doing, and it happened again. I was like, "What the shit?"
That's when
Like,
you
"Get
just
away."
turn around. You just turn around and say, "What?" That's
don't know
that's
who it
what I
was.
have to do.
I didn't know anybody down there, and I was like, So the third time,
Somebody
Um,
knew you though.
I guess so. The third time, we had just turned out the lights to go to bed, and it came out from the hallway, and it was a little loud. It was like, "Tina," like that, real bit louder. And I turned to my ex-husband. I said, "Did you hear that?" And he said, "Yes." "What was that?" And I said, "I do not know, but that's the third time it's happened." He said, I don't remember what he said, but he was scared shitless too. I was like, "I do not like this."
Would not have slept that night.
Did you have anybody that
He got
had
up.
did
Pardon?
you have anybody that had recently passed away?
No, I don't think so. Not that I recall.
Hmm.
It was really weird.
Yeah, I don't think I'd have slept that night.
He got up
think
and
I-
actually turned the light on and looked down the hallway to see if anybody was standing there. I told him, I said, "It's happened twice and nobody was there," because he thought it might have been his sister or one of the kids or something. But it hadn't happened.
Yeah,
Again,
no, I
oh.
wouldn't have slept a bit. You're talking about kids, and I actually worked in MedCon, Knoxville, 911, and we get a call, and they said that, Grandma had a heart attack. She said she wasn't feeling well. Now they can't wake her up, and they think she's not breathing. So I go through the steps, and I'm like, all right, well, we're going to start CPR on Grandma. And we get KFD rolling, an ambulance on the way. And so I'm giving these little kids instructions on how to do CPR. And they set the phone down. And a few seconds later, I hear, "Get off my chest!" I was like, "You healed her."
Yeah. Someone like that. This guy calling said that he's like, I said, "Is she breathing?" And he said, "I don't think so." And I said, "Well, let's look at her, see if you can get her on the floor. And he said, I'm trying to get her to lay down to go do CPR. And I was like, no.
Oh, jeez. I can
Lay down so I can do CPR.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her to lay down so I can do CPR. But
Yeah,
no,
there's
let's hold off on that.
She keeps slapping me.
That's a contraindication.
Yeah.
She made it. It's
Yeah.
a miracle.
You made it fine.
We used to tell people before they would do anything, run your finger up the bottom of her foot.
No.
Because if she's alive, she's going to move whether she's asleep or not. It's a tender spot.
Yeah, it's amazing some of the laughter you can get out of some of these crazy situations. I mean, when they added the question on the medical screening to do you have a defibrillator?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, we had
What's
more
that?
than one person say, "What the hell does it matter if I have a refrigerator?" You know, I'm calling here for help. So that's where, yeah.
No, but I got a solar generator.
Yeah. And I mean, I ran a call in the field once. We went on a fire department went on a heart attack with this elderly lady. I say elderly respectfully now. In that we go into her apartment, and the place is a shrine to Elvis. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
there is the velvet Elvis on the wall. There are like the little "Love Me Tender" music box playing in the background, and we're trying to get oxygen on her, and is like the old Fred Sanford. You know, I'm coming.
Yeah.
She's like, Elvis, I'm coming. And we're, and she's having it. She's having a damn eye. She is, okay.
Oh, Lord.
but we're trying not to laugh because it's like, is there a camera someplace? What, you know? Is there something? No. She is screaming to Elvis. She's coming to join him in Graceland in heaven. Yeah, okay.
Oh, my Lord.
So yeah.
You wouldn't have been there.
Don't lie, he's still here.
Oh yeah. Here I come, King. Here I come.
Right? Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's
There must be. Go ahead.
we all have these stories, and they're great because anybody that's listening that's not in public safety might not understand, but sometimes you have to laugh at these things because you get so many things that are so horrible. When you get something like this, that yes, they're sick or they're whatever, but there's still some humor there. So, you know, that dark humor is what keeps us going.
Oh, it is. It's a defense mechanism, and we are not welcome guests at formal dinners. We
No.
do not. We do not want to. And if there's more than one of us, the more of us there are, the worse it is.
Yeah.
Right? Because somebody be over here. And, oh, I remember when that happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, your biggest get together is at the hospital in the middle of the night when nothing's going on, and you have public safety, you have health care, and you have everybody standing around not doing nothing,
Yeah.
and that's what
Oh.
happens.
We had one guy. What was it? Let's see. It was Joe who had one leg. Was it Joe?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Steve Tender who had his leg cut off in an automobile accident. He was on the interstate, but they had races down the hallway. It was fucking hilarious.
I keep threatening Andy that him and I are going to do that one these days.
Oh my god!
Don't get him too excited.
Ridiculous.
I might win. I'm in. Mine's electric.
Yeah, you might win.
Dina, we had, when I first started, the center that I worked in was in the basement of a jail,
Yeah.
and the
We're under
ID,
the jail.
the ID bureau was next door, and we shared a bathroom. And one of the record clerks in the ID bureau had one leg. Here are one leg stories. Thank you. Politically correct? No, not tonight. And there was a single bathroom, and it was, of course, in the radio room. And he would go in there with the damn New York Times and
Oh no.
be in there forever. And so I don't have much knowledge of this at all. I couldn't elaborate too much, but back in those days, we used. There was no CAD. We wrote stuff down. There was no CAD,
Yeah.
but we did have teletype machines, and they used a wax-coated strip that you could make up the teletype, and then that would send it out. The stuff was also relatively flammable. So if you would take a few yards of it and kind of sneakily slide it under the door of the bathroom, you might get it in the vicinity of where somebody's foot was, and then if you it might catch fire. I don't know. It might,
somehow it might.
Somehow it might. Lightning, divine intervention, and give it about right about now. I mean, you would hear the most ungodly commotion on Earth of somebody trying to stomp out a fire on the floor of the bathroom.
I
one leg.
You know what? Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, the best joke players are firemen and medical staff.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
911 operators get some good ones too. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that.
I'll tell you what, I spent, before I had gone into the police department, I spent 10 years working in a hospital. And we used to play I had this one, I hated this woman. I'm sorry, God, I don't like to hate people. But one day, she always finished her med rounds and she would run right to the bathroom. She'd stay in there forever.
Mhm.
We only had the one. So one day I went in there and took some KY jelly,
Oh no.
put it all over the toilet seat, smoothed it down so you couldn't see it. Went and sat at the break table. I'm eating my chips, and a couple other people come. They know what I did. And I'm eating my chips, and all of a sudden, here she come running in there, slams the door shut. You hear her fly off the toilet seat and slam
Oh my
into the wall.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
She put a hole in the wall.
Oh Lord.
And I'm just sitting there eating my chips.
Don't know anything about this.
No.
She comes
What
out and
happened?
says, "What in the hell?" She had her pants down to her knees.
What the shit?
Yeah, it's thankfully the statute of limitations has passed on a lot of these things
Yes.
Oh,
That we're-
absolutely.
that we're talking about. We had one guy in the fire department, and that's back when you could have fun. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
Talking to a friend of mine who's a lieutenant in a big career department here in the States, who had to go to sensitivity training the other day. The whole department goes.
No.
Yeah. And man, if you would have to take sensitivity training, you would not have made it back in the.
If
And
anybody
I'm not
was
saying
sensitive.
I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong, but this guy was a really big guy. He worked as a steam fitter in New York. He worked on a lot of the high rises. He was in our fire department. In fact, he was such a big guy, we had to order him a special jacket, turnout coat when he came to get it fit, so he couldn't go to fires for a couple of months. But he helped around the firehouse, and he was an instigator. He would love to start trouble, okay, which was great because we all did.
Yeah.
So he used to stop in the firehouse every day around 5 o'clock on his way home from work to have a cup of coffee and to try to start trouble. So one day we all got together before he came and decided we were going to agree with everything he said, regardless of how stupid it was or how ridiculous. No, we agree with it. I never saw it that way before, but you're 100% right. You were right on the money with that one.
Oh Lord.
After about 10 minutes, he got so mad, he threw his coffee cup into the trash can and said, "I don't know what the hell is wrong with you guys," and went home. Because nobody would argue with him. But, now wait a minute, this guy, he had actually lost a finger as a steam fitter because he was working in a pipe chase, and somebody a few floors up dropped like a coupling down. It hit him. Took his finger off. He went down to the basement and got his glove and went across the street to the hospital, but they couldn't sew it back on, so he had a missing finger. But because of his size, he was also our fire department Santa Claus. Okay.
Oh.
So every year he would sit, and the kids from town would come, and one year one of the kids noticed he was missing the finger. So the kid says to him, Santa, what happened to your finger? And without breaking the stride, he looks at the kid and says, Rudolph bit it off.
Oh, no.
That's great.
That's funny.
I can't confirm nor deny, but in South Atlanta there was a black Santa Claus that was having a diabetic emergency while the kids were there, and when we showed up there was candy canes being thrown, reindeer, and we were like, oh, we're gonna need PD for this. Santa was out of control, and there's a cell phone footage of me tackling black Santa in the middle of the mall.
Oh my gosh.
Quick, get me the D50, get some sugar. Yeah.
Well, this same gentleman one afternoon, and I could take 3 hours with stories about this guy, but I won't. I'll share one more. And I'll share two more if we got the time.
Plenty of time.
Yeah. One is he came in one day, and he had like a jean or jean type work jacket. You know what I'm talking about. Dungaree kind of blue denim jacket. He comes out and he sits between two of our other members. Now, you have to know the personalities of these other two guys that are sitting on either side of him. One is a motorcycle cop, NYPD. Okay, so you know right away he ain't wound too damn tight to be riding a cycle in the city. Okay. The other guy is a theatrical teamster who works on all kinds of productions, drives trucks, does this, chauffeurs people here and there. He's on the other side of him. Now, his jacket is old and it's frayed, and there are tufts of cotton stuffing hanging out on the sides. Now, unfortunately for him, the guys on either side of him both have cigarette lighters.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. So, one of them distracts them over here in conversation. The one on the other side lights his jacket on fire on that side. Lets it get going a little bit, and then pats it out, but instead of just patting the eyes, like, hey, I was talking to you. What? He says, what? As soon as he turns around, the guy on the other side lights the other sleeve.
Oh, my God.
And this went on and on and on. But I think the coup de grace is we all go to an unoccupied building fire one day, and actually it was cold out, freezing cold. Yeah. And because it was going to be torn down anyway, it was like a bungalow, it wasn't a huge thing. We decided, all right, we're not going to pack up. We're gonna fight it from the outside, and then we'll just knock it down, go in and clean it up, and get out of here. Well, we're there for a while, and we're starting to feel a little woozy. And we had just been to another call before that, so we're like, geez, maybe we're just tired or something. It's been a busy night. And then I go in and I find all these cans of pesticide laying open among everything that's burning. Okay. Now, first of all, the hospital is really happy to see a bunch of wet firemen come in.
Yeah.
That's first. Yeah. Oh, God. So here we go. So on the way down to the hospital, we start trash talking this guy. Okay. We're like, hey, you feeling okay?
Oh, no.
You really don't look. You sure don't look. Gene, you got to tell us because we're going to the hospital. Are you doing okay? Mm-hmm. Well, I feel a no, make sure you tell them that when you go down there. Well, the bottom line is, first thing that happens when we go to the hospital, he gets set in a bed away from everybody else. No reason other than they were running out of beds in the ER. I mean, 12 people come in at once. Oh, yeah, okay, put somebody. He is away from everybody else. And so we're still trash talking to him. Well, why'd they put me over here? Well, they said things might get a little messy. They don't want you by it. So by the time they start taking his vitals, his respiration's up and his blood pressure's up, because we have got him going crazy.
Oh my gosh.
So so bottom line, they're letting some of us go, and they're still holding him here because his vitals are bad. Well,
He's like,
the company,
what's wrong with me?
yeah, pretty much. Well, I think one of the best things is the company chaplain comes in, and he happens to come in the door right where his bed is, so he goes to him first. Oh, how are you? Well, that put him right over the edge. Yeah.
I'm dying.
Yeah. Why is he here? Last rites. Don't worry about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Firemen can definitely play some pranks.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I miss is the camaraderie. So, and even though we give each other grief and we set each other on fire, punch each other, it's a lot of fun.
Somehow, I don't think it would be the same anymore.
No.
It's like there's too much.
I had a rookie quit on me because we get dispatched at 3 a.m. when you get a call that a building's burning. It's burning at 3 a.m. no matter what. And so all the rookie had to do was get out of bed with the rest of us, get in front of the ambulance and drive. I look in the mirror and some bitch has got his jacket on, now he's putting his air pack on. I'm like, what in the hell are you doing? This is what they trained us in the academy. Yeah, you do this shit when you get there. You're on the ambulance. So he gets there,
my Lord.
And he's got his air pack on, and he's trying it on. I'm like, what in the Sam hell? And he's like, where's yours? I'm like, me? I got you. And he says, where are we going? And I said, you're the driver. That's our job.
Oh, my gosh.
So we hear Rescue 23 going route. They say they're going to be closer. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. This is an 11's first due. I said, if we don't get there first, I'm going to kill you. I told him that. I said, I'm going to kill you. So we get there finally. And we get out and they sign us triage while the other ambulance got to go in and play in the fire. Oh, I'm mad. I am steaming. And I said, triage. I said, take everything out of that truck. Keep your gear on in case they need you. Take everything out of that truck, put it on the stretcher, and bring it up here to command. And it was uphill. It was cold and icy. Over fire hoses. And we stop by the other ambulance, which is parked right behind engine 11, my engine. And I said to him, do you know what that says? And he says, what? I said, no, look at it. Are you too stupid to read the number? And he's looking at me like I'm crazy. And I snapped at that moment, and I grabbed him up by his SCBA, and I'm screaming in his face, not fucking 11. That's what it says. I got called to internal affairs. He never showed back up again.
Oh, my gosh.
The chief was like, do you think you were a little harsh, maybe? I don't know. I'm like, well,
Maybe did you learn something like not to let a rookie drive?
Well, no, you have to when they come out because that's the first year they're assigned to the ambulance. Yeah, to learn their territory. That's their first year they're assigned to the ambulance.
Oh God, I don't know if I have the patience to ride around.
Oh, as a paramedic, it has tested my patience multiple times. So
I would be like kicking them in the side and letting them fall right out there. We need an ambulance over here. Our driver.
And when GPS was first allowed, they wouldn't allow us to use it because it might not coordinate with what 911 said. So we couldn't use GPS. So we had to go the old-fashioned map book. Yeah, it was crazy. This is just since 9/11, since I moved to Atlanta. That was in 2002, maybe 2004, somewhere around there.
Did they know how to read the map?
No, they didn't.
What? I'm a girl and I can read an atlas.
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, but they don't teach that. Nobody knows how to read a map anymore.
Yeah, it's not taught anywhere. Cursive
Yes.
isn't taught anywhere. Don't get me going on that. So,
Oh my God. Chat, AI.
yeah. Well, Barry, I'm sure you got to go. I appreciate you coming. We got to get you back sometime because I had a question about drones in 911 when we got to going on UAP. So,
Yeah,
have to have you back. That's a up and coming thing I've been reading about. So,
I still don't understand how that's going to work.
well, in Frederick County, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., they're sending a drone from the dispatch center, from a helipad at the dispatch center to all what sounds like major wrecks. Because it takes so long in Metro Washington, D.C. to get an ambulance or fire truck through traffic, a drone can fly straight there,
But what
and
is
it
it
can
gonna
look
do?
overhead. It's going to assess the scene, see how many cars, how many vehicles, see if it's burning, are there
Okay.
patients. You know, is a tanker rolled? So we used to use cops for that.
And in
Cops
the
would walk up
meantime-
to the tanker that was leaking and they'd lick it and they oh, this isn't hazardous. So.
And
Well,
in
that
the
makes sense if
meantime,
it's hazardous. But
in the meantime, somebody that hits their head is going to be swinging a bat at it, thinking that it's a UFO.
Probably. It's going to be interesting how that works out. So,
Brenda, it's not a UFO anymore. Remember?
God.
the UAP.
You know what?
UAP.
I really have to tell you, I am one that is not and probably never will be politically correct.
Yeah.
Been this way all my life. I pronouns. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start using verbs.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that's a whole other thing. Pronouns and
They
You
just
know,
keep changing everything. I can't keep up. They're doing it so fast. It's like, how is anybody supposed to make sense of this shit? I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll give them a phone number written on a piece of paper and a quarter and tell them to go find a payphone and use it.
yeah. Good luck finding the payphone.
They'll be
Yeah,
gone.
exactly.
I actually have
They probably
one
won't know
down
what a
the street
payphone is.
That works. There is
Really?
one down the road and it works.
She's
And
in
if you put a
Texas.
quarter in it, you can call anybody.
A quarter? Wow. That's cheap
Yeah.
because usually there's
I-
more than that.
I took a picture of it, posted it on my Facebook, and you don't know how many people were like, "What is that? Is that a phone? What kind of phone is that?"
yeah.
Obviously, you don't know what a beeper is either, do you?
Oh,
Yeah.
God. I read a story in the Washington Post where a guy went on payphones.com and bought an old payphone and restored it and made it all Wi-Fi and had it hooked to his Wi-Fi in his house. And anybody that came there could use the phone for a quarter to call anywhere in the world. And, of course, it was just dialing out through his VoIP.
Right.
And if you dial it, he had made up a sign. If you hit 1, you'll get the joke of the day, 2. And he said there were people that would just walk around it. They didn't know what it was.
That's crazy.
It's got a place to put a quarter, but why do I put a quarter there? So, well, Barry, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, glad-
It was good catching up. Stay
Yeah,
in touch.
it was.
Yeah, you too, dude.
Yeah.
You're looking good.
No, don't get her going. Her head will swell up.
Oh,
and-
thank you. Thank you so much. It was good to see you.
You too.
You'll be good, and oh yeah, I'll talk about your book too next time. So we'll have to get you back.
That'll work.
So. All right, man. Well, I appreciate it. I'm gonna send you backstage where you can close everything out, and you have a good evening. Thanks for everything. I'm glad you came on to our show, and hopefully we didn't torture you too bad. So
Not
Bobby
bad.
was awful
Oh.
quiet. So
Nice meeting
he's
you.
Come
Nice
back.
I was
meeting you too,
having
Brent.
technical difficulties.
Yeah. Have a good one, everybody.
Good
Thanks.
night.
Yeah.
Bye.
that was great. So
I had something that floated into my house and was being absolutely wicked.
Oh,
Whoa.
really?
okay.
Like a moth?
Mothman.
No,
Ghost.
it-
Ghost.
yeah.
Oh, I was like, oh.
Well, do tell.
Hey, you know
Oh,
how
yeah.
you know it was going. Well, first of all, I just went ahead and turned the TV off because it kept going on and off.
Oh.
And then them things were going on and off. And I was like, okay. So after the last time, computer said bye-bye.
Wow.
So when you're
That
hunting
sounds good in my
snake
headphones.
and you're hunting your feather,
sounds
you're
crazy.
hunting your. What did you say? That sounds what?
That rain sounds crazy in my headphones.
It does. I like it.
I could go to sleep.
I like that.
I could too.
I figured, God, don't do it. I figured it'd be good
Oh
background
God!
for her.
You know what? I've come to a conclusion. Dina sleeps a lot better when she falls asleep on us.
That is
Yes,
true.
I do.
She does.
I do.
Although I
figured it would
still
be
feel
easier
like
for you to tell your story, so.
Although
What?
I figured that it
The
still
dark and
would feel
stormy
like
night.
I feel like a cheap date running out in the middle of the night on her.
Yeah, really. I wake up and nobody's there, and it's really just
I'm
an
alone.
empty room, and I'm like,
I thought about keeping mine on, and just laying down, figuring if you woke up, you woke up. At least you'd see some cat
Yeah.
balls.
Need some
Uh-oh.
cat balls for your apartment?
I do. I gotta go get me a cat ball.
I got 100 of them.
Although the stupid thing will end up going off all night long.
Oh, those look cool.
He's really messing up his eyesight. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah. Are you looking for those?
Eleanor.
He's gonna become colorblind when
That's
Look at
funny,
him. He's
one
like-
was blue and one was red.
who's playing that music?
What music?
What
Is that
music?
you playing? I like it. I like it. Anyways, burn a little bit of sage and tell things to get the hell out of your house, and you'll deal with
you
them
said that,
later.
I smelled something burning.
Bobby, something's burning.
When you said that, I smelled something burning.
Oh, sorry.
Flowers.
That's okay. I smell stuff. I don't see anything. I smell.
I don't like that at all.
Bring the cat balls.
Don't like
Cat ball.
Love them cat balls. I need. How much did you pay for a bunch of those through Amazon? You said.
I gave $80
Are they
for
the
60.
Are they the squishy ones or the hard ones?
hard ones?
Oh,
Only have hard ones.
I want the squishy ones.
Squishy ones. They have squishy ones.
Yeah, they have squishy ones.
Oh, what?
I gave 60. I gave 80 for 60.
Yeah, I like the big squishy type ones that have like the little cookie things on them.
She said she likes the big one, so we know what she's talking about.
I like the big round colorful balls with cookie things on them.
Oh, okay. I got you. I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, they
It's
got
kind of with a
actually
string
those
attached to
you
them.
can
Is that
get-
what you're talking to?
No, actually, those you can get at the pet store, and they're really cool, and they feel neat. Like if I step on it, it's not
Yeah.
going to crunch underneath my feet. Well, like I'm going to be
I know
stepping
which
Step
one
on
you're
it.
talking
anything.
about. Crazy.
Roll
If
over
I step on it,
maybe.
you're going to hear.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what I
wild in my
so
headphones.
often forget, and I say, when I walked over here, or don't make me come over there, or I got to get up and run, and I'm running over here. No, I'm not doing any of that shit.
Yeah.
Sitting my ass in this chair.
I'll roll on over to you.
When you say
Roll
something
on
all of your
highway,
life,
roll on hill.
it's really hard to give that up when you say it all your life.
Well.
Wendell says it's too much information, so.
It's kind of like me with the N word.
Wendell. Hi, Wendell. I didn't follow you here this time, I promise.
He's been watching out for you, Brenda.
I was already
Wendell's-
here.
Wendell smells beans.
Not
Beans.
extra beans.
He
Why
has
does
the
he smell
ghost
beans?
roast. Wendell's the one with the ghost roast.
Oh, that's right. So I saw something today on Facebook that kind of alarmed me. Speaking of roast, somebody in Tennessee was having a barbecue, and they're slow pitting alligator, the whole alligator, 2 of them, like you do, a hog, and they had it like with stuff full of its mouth stuffed full of fruit, and its eyes were like grapes or something, and it was that bronze, and I'm like, that's just really creepy. And they're like, what's a gator roast? Because Florida's playing Tennessee this week, and I'm like, that's just creepy. I couldn't eat that if I tried.
No, because the only thing I know that you eat on a gator is its tail.
I don't know. I know I've had gator tail, but I really don't know if there's any other meat off of them. But
Ew.
yeah, that was just creepy. I'm like, yeah, and they posted it on Facebook. Huh.
So before they
Bama's
stuffed
playing
it,
Tampa.
Oh, what are you all roasting?
so
South,
before
South Florida.
roasting South Florida. So before they actually roast the gator,
Probably
did they
win.
reach in there and pull out all the license plates and everything? I'll be in that damn thing.
Probably not. So.
Someone's little leftover poodle. Yeah, I mean,
You know, funny story. A buddy of ours, Greg, from 911, he was coming back from vacation. I don't know if you'll remember this story, Dina. He was half asleep, and he was driving all night. Greg, Mad Dog.
Oh, yeah.
KFD, and he was driving all night. He was half asleep, and he was somewhere around Orlando, and he saw up ahead a tire from a tractor and trailer was across the road. Now, this fella, as you know, we don't make a whole lot of money. He had like a 1972 Chevrolet station wagon, and it was held together by banding wire and duct tape. And he couldn't swerve because he was half awake, not paying attention. He said, it's just a tire. Right before he hit it, it moved. It was a damn gator, caused him to wreck.
Oh, Jesus.
And then the gator was mad he couldn't get out of his car. You just had to know that guy. He always had the luck like that. But yeah, he hit the gator, and the gator flipped back, and we went to open his door to get out. The gator was trying to bite the car.
I've seen somebody, actually an armadillo, roll up and somebody hit it and it shoot it right across the road.
Oh my goodness.
It's like, whoo. That'd be a good thing nobody was standing there, might have taken out a leg.
That's definitely a concussion.
Right?
Lord.
Let's call him my name.
Chevalier, I probably pronounced that wrong. Chevalier 812 is saying it will be calling Brenda's name.
Yo.
I assume the ghost that's in your house. I assume that's what they're talking about.
It went bye-bye.
You sure? Well, I hope you didn't send it here. So
No, it went bye-bye. Yeah.
Enough creepy
You
things
can
happen.
come and visit all you want. I can tell you where you can go, but when you start messing with me and my stuff and my dogs, time to get out.
Unless is your dog put up somewhere right now?
No, he's sitting right here.
Wow, he's quiet now. Yeah.
Yes, because that's what he was barking at.
Yeah, I think these two are texting each other. I'm just pointing that out. So you two, you're both looking down at your phones. Like, they must be texting each other.
I'm not. I was actually looking at all the patches that you sent me.
Oh, thank you, Chevalier 812. I do appreciate that. Everybody, please remember to like, follow, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yes.
So she just subscribed to our channel. So thank you.
Look,
Yay.
Hey, that may push me up to 80. Oh yeah. She got hers today, yeah.
we got patches.
I didn't get mine yet.
You didn't get yours yet?
No, they said it's running late.
I will see. I've already got this on this shirt.
Cool.
But I
Yeah.
thought about putting a patch on it on this side.
You get one on each boob.
Put them, yeah. Put them on my arms, you know.
Aren't those called pasties?
Yeah.
Yes, they are actually.
Tassels. What?
Bob's got decals.
Oh,
Those
decals.
are nice. Decals.
Decals.
Hundreds of them.
I
I'm
Alright.
surprised your kids haven't run off with them yet.
Well, I got to keep it. I got all the stuff from my convention back here under lock and key, like this thing.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
$150.
Your kids be drawing mustaches on it and shit, making puppets out of it.
This thing's 7 feet tall.
Oh my god!
Wow. Really?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you wouldn't think that from here. Yeah,
Look at
well,
that.
okay. Wow. That's nice.
Pretty neat.
I got my giant logo.
Does it, was your headphone and microphone supposed to look like an alien?
No, but cool that it does.
Yeah, it does kind of from a
cool.
distance. Maybe it's the camera angle, but it does. It kind of looks like an alien head with eyes. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just a-
actually
it's just
what
a
I thought
canned,
it was.
It's a canned picture from Pixels.
You know, if you put some tassels in the middle of the headphones that look like eyes, maybe
Yeah,
it'll
it
spin
does
around.
kind of. When
you
I
know.
first saw it, I thought that's what it was.
Yeah,
and
I
then it
thought
took-
It's an alien too.
yeah, when my eyes
If you,
focused
squint your,
on
eye-
it,
if you squint your eyes, it does look like that.
Yeah.
We're not even squinting our eyes, and it looked like that. It
Yeah.
was like an
Yeah.
alien with marks across his forehead.
we're all
I
co-
still like my Bobby Dizzle logo. I want to use it one day on something.
Wendell said, "Where's his?"
I like it. Well,
What do you-
we've
what do
got
you
them,
want,
Wendell.
Wendell?
So we got coins, we got patches. We can sell them all.
Coins,
We can hook them
patches,
all
and then
up.
we have
so.
Bobby's. What do you call those?
Decals.
Decals, decals, decals,
Cat balls.
cat balls,
Cat balls.
cat balls.
I don't have any customized. I did find a site last night that I found really cool. You can use AI to make your own comic book. So I'm going to try and come up with a
Drop my
Sportcat
balls.
comic book.
My
Whoa,
balls.
whoa, 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 whoa.
It's okay, Bobby. That comes with age. After a while, you'll learn how to find a proper hammock for it.
It smell like old nickels.
Yeah.
Gross.
It's scary that we all knew that reference.
It smells like a change bucket in here.
Yeah, right?
All right, I'm going to bed. I'm
All
sleepy.
right. Well,
That
thank
was
you for
perfect
showing
timing.
up, Bobby. We appreciate it.
Give me my theme music.
Oh, all right.
Like
Anybody
Deion
got-
Sanders.
Well, I need some theme music for you. Anybody else got anything? Or yeah, we'll just cut out of here a little bit early tonight and head backstage. Anybody else got anything?
Nope, got
I'm
nothing.
good.
Don't drop nothing. All right.
I
Well,
could really
I
use a
don't got
cigarette.
nothing.
oh. Oh, yeah, I'm with you there. Well, everybody remember, please like, follow, share, thumbs up, pair our normal guys group on Facebook. And Bobby Dizzle, the Caffeinated Cryptid, make sure to follow his show and his
Yes.
stuff as well. We need to set up the community
watch
channel
his
for other
shows.
friends. Token Model.
I watch his shows and
Your
I
two
follow
dads.
Wendell over there.
Yeah, you're Wendell Stalker.
Wendell kind of leads the way.
Whoa. Is he pointing? Not with his finger? Good night, everybody. I appreciate you for being here.
Oh, God, there's Bigfoot. Wait.